Welcome to Section 31, episode number 370. I'm Dan Hammond.
And I am Rogue Schindler.
This week we've got a short show. We're going to talk a little bit about things that have been going on in the warehouse and the 1E set that came out recently. I don't know much else going on. Some predictions for something going on early next spring, but that's about it. So what would we like to start with?
Well, there's this big fat 1E set come out.
Yeah, 9 cards.
As 9 cards go, it's a pretty impactful 9 cards, I gotta say. And it's really not just these 9 cards. They get a 10th back, essentially, with that errata coming off the list.
That's right.
Off the ban list, which I will admit, as cheesed out as it was, I never really wanted to play it because it felt just like such a negative play experience from the other end. So I can't really say from a mechanical, like doing it myself point of view, how nerfed it is. But I got to say from the receiving end, it does not feel that nerfed.
Everyone's very happy to have it back, right?
Certainly all the people who played it are.
Yeah.
It does not. I'm not looking forward to playing against that again. One player in particular was that was like the only play deck he would ever play for a really long time, and it was a lot of fun to not play that once it was gone. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's going to immediately jump back to it, but we'll see what kind of impact it has. You're a 1E designer, so I'm gonna ask you this. Like the first thing that came to my mind when I saw the set is so much work, and it wasn't just design, it was also on the rules side, but so much work had to go into those two groups coming together to find a way to rein in the Delta Quadrant, just steamrolling the meta for so long. And it finally feels like it's reached a place of balance. Why then turn around and unleash them again?
I'd say that balance happened, when Next Generation came out, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
All right, that was...
Well, and the subsequent...
That was 6 years ago. And the Delta Quadrant has had 0 since then. And it hasn't been played, as much as it has been in the past. And I would say that...
That's a relative statement, as much as it has been in the past. It's still won a Worlds. At least once.
I'd say on the whole, it has gotten a minuscule amount of attention in the last 6 years, over 6 years now. And so the idea behind the set was, hey, let's, put out a 9 card. We haven't forgotten about this other affiliation. They've gotten a few things here and there, like the Maquis set had some stuff. The Shuttlecraft, that was kind of an addition. And some just little things random. But this was a focused, thematic 1E set that was just designed for the people who just played that all the time and were sad that they didn't get anything, really, in a long time. So as far as power balance and, it's been so long since they were stomped down to an even playing field as the rest, what they got back in organ theft is a big step down from what they had before. What it did before was let you play 2 dudes, and now let you play 2 universal dudes. The universal Fidians are not as good. I mean, obviously, as the unique personnel. The unique personnel are crazy good, and the universal guys, so you got to play with them, but you don't get nearly as much as you did before. The part I never liked was the come and get my guys and turn my guys into your guys, which happened a lot more when everyone was playing in the Delta Quadrant, obviously. With everyone in the Alpha Quadrant now, you had to be a certain special type of player to come to a different quadrant and, beat up the other guy for minuscule points. And as a reporting engine, that's really not something that you do for jump starting your own stuff, because by then, if you're doing that to knock down the opponent, it's too late for it to be a reporting engine for you. So I'm interested to see how it comes back into play and see if it takes off and flies as high as it did before.
That was my big question looking at it was, I don't know the personnel well enough, other than there's a bunch of guys. That sounds vaguely racist, I guess, but all their faces are falling off. You can't tell what they are. They all look the same. And so I couldn't tell you one from another, aside from like Sulan and Dinar Pell. Like, you'd gun to my face, I don't know that I could name another Vidian. And I was not really sure how much better. I do remember a lot of the Universal guys being really good. It's like, wow, that's exactly the 4 skills you need. You just pulled out. That's great. But I wasn't sure how much. I mean, they're Delta Quadrant. They all feel like they're super powered. So
yeah. Well, like I said, it used to say discard your victim and you can report 2 Vidians or download 1, which is just crazy. Now it's report 2 Universal Vidians or download 1, which it severely limits. I mean, you've got to use your. It changes the way you play for sure.
And I get that. Like, it changes what you were used to playing, which is already super powered. It still feels like a pretty good. I mean, that you're getting dial a skill without having to go back to a station or play an interrupt that can be canceled. That feels pretty powerful. Now, I don't know what the skill spread is on the Universal guys. I feel like I might have been more comfortable if it was like Attentional Hands, where it had to be somebody you didn't already have in play. But I know that there's not a lot of Vidians already, which might have come into that play. And you probably don't want to spend a lot of card space making a bunch of extra Vidians.
No, that's an art challenge too, because there's not a lot of faces. There's not a lot of characters left to make.
No, there's not a lot of faces. But yeah, so I don't know. I as far as the coming and getting me thing, that does not feel like an obstacle with all the things that make it easier to get into, including in this set. Make it easier to waltz into the Alpha Quadrant now, which was supposed to be the thing that throttled them. If you want to stay in the Delta Quadrant and play all these really good guys with lots of skills and really high stats, well, then you have to do your own missions and score an extra 40 points. But now you can either play this Neelix card and be a homesteader and just do your, do a 4th mission, oh no, with your crazy stats, or come to the Alpha Quadrant with your easy wormhole now, and oh no, with your crazy stats. So I don't feel like that's a big obstacle, and I don't feel like limiting to 3 thrice per game is going to be a huge downside. I mean, I don't remember people doing it much more than 3 times for points to begin with. That gets you most of what you need to round a corner.
Yeah. I mean, if you manage to pull it off once, that's the 10 points you need to do if you're doing the homestead, as you said, because I mean, I guess you could have mission specialists and things for the extra 10 points, but only seeding missions that are 30 points or less is a pretty big limitation, because most of the good Delta Quadrant decks had those, 55 points, 35 points, all those, all the good DQ missions. So all
the ones with a single name on it for 50 points.
Right. I think this still lets you play with Liberation, so you can still play Caretaker's Array, which but
that would be rough.
Yeah, that would be even.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now we're talking some DQ limits. I'd be down with that. Yeah. No, Liberation is definitely a 30-point mission, so you can still keep that in there. Have the Caretaker's Array.
You can play with the Wormhole mission, which is nice. You can use that to get around to another quadrant, perhaps, but you can't. I really like forcing people to look at their missions and realize, okay, I got to take out these choice 35-point missions and put in these 30-pointers, because they don't get looked at very often. I think that's some design space that could be used in the future as well. Even in Alpha Quadrant missions, we made a lot of the really interesting free report places like Metaphasic Shield Conference, that mission. Those are all high point missions, stealable missions. And if you
Yeah.
suddenly cut all those out and you've got to play a deck with 30 pointers, that makes it interesting. I like that.
Now, how does that work with stuff like, this next mission that's in here, the bypass war zone? That's only 25 points, but it immediately boosts itself up to 10 points by 10 points if you have no non-aligns.
Yeah. So it's, let's see, that's
showing more than 30 points. So that doesn't show more than 30 points.
Yeah. So if you're willing to kneecap yourself and not play with any of the awesome non-aligns, then yeah, sure, have another 10 points. That's fine.
Now I'll tell you one thing. Probably the one thing I'm actually vaguely kind of a little bit interested in here, mostly because I don't know how it works. Oh, that's how it works. Never mind. Right. Is the Kazon Cardassian Treaty. That actually kind of has some vague interest for me. I'm assuming that's like, I was like, how do you play your Cardassians? But can you play them to Voyager?
Well, was it not war conditions? The support personnel card lets you play Cardassians to a ship.
Yeah. Okay, so you can use assigned support personnel and the.
Is it wartime conditions? No, that's the Federation card.
That's the Federation. It's something like that.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about though.
So that'll let you play Cardassians to any ship. You can space door a Cardassian ship and start playing. Either I thought some report said that they space doored a mirror quadrant ship, and then played crew reassignment, and then played mirror universe people to it because of the icon matches, and it wasn't a standing match. Like, that's interesting. Kazon teaming up with the mirror quadrant Cardassians in the Delta Quadrant. That's cool.
That sounds vaguely fun to take two crappy things and bash them together and see if they'll make a good thing.
Yeah,
like Cardassian. Not that Cardassians are not crappy. Cardassians without a station and or the most prolific headquarters in the game are crappy.
Yeah, I could see that.
But yeah, that's unlimited assigned support personnel. That certainly could help. But that certainly got my attention. I would be vaguely interested in that, but not with a bunch of Vidians running around trying to steal my organs.
Have you tried? So there's two cards for a deck that I've tried putting together a few times. I might have even played it once. Have you played Delta Quadrant Klingons before in 1E?
A long time ago. Not so much that I would remember.
So we got two more personnel for that, Tom and the captain.
Yeah. Not super thrilled about those. I like the idea of them getting more support.
I like the Warriors Birthright disc download. That could be interesting.
That is nice.
That's a good card that is almost not worth a card play, but a special download makes it interesting.
Well, and if you're going to have to limit yourself to certain missions, that's almost always the first thing that goes out the window as, well, screw this. I don't want to play with missions that have attribute requirements in 1E if I don't have to, because you just want to be able to have as few skills as possible on as few people as possible. But again, if your mission selection is limited, that certainly would help to be able to use strength instead of other things as a Klingon.
Right on. All right. There is one more card, and you mentioned it, that is in this set. There's a card for Hirogen, there's a card for Kazon, there's a card for Dian. There's no Fed cards. There's another affiliation that didn't get anything specifically, as the Borg, right?
Because speaking of things that don't need help,
but this bypass war zone is a Borg card, and that's because it's universal and it's a nebula. And
oh wow,
yeah, there was a conversion of a card from a 2E card that we lost a nebula from the Delta Quadrant as a place to put your transwarp hub, and so got a place back. Got a generic universal mission. That you can put a nebula.
That's great.
Yeah,
I would drop 4 of these and run that stupid universal pumped up dilemma hull breach.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Let's kill 4 people.
Now,
let's kill 4 more people.
On the downside, it's an easy 25 points for your opponent with just 3 skills. But if you're playing Borg, please come and attempt my missions, because you're gonna get stopped one way or another, and I'll come get you. So secret hidden Borg card in the 9 cards.
Been a change of plans.
Yeah. The gal on a Borg would like to have some words with you.
Oh man. Oh wow. Yeah, aside from that, there's not really a counterpart.
Yeah. Do you have to use Gowron, or pick up one of the opponent's things? But they're likely
assimilate a counterpart. What?
I know. Unless you're playing Vidian or actually Herosians make fantastic counterparts, because they have a lot of dots. They're all male, and get what you need.
They're all male. I didn't think about that.
That's a restriction, right?
It is, because apparently the queen is super hetero.
I gotta say, I really tried. When I was working on the mirror set, I really fought to have a mirror counterpart of Kira.
Hell yes.
Because that would have been perfect, right?
That totally should have worked.
There was some rules hiccups and it didn't quite work out. She would have been a great counterpart for Mirror Bejor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That 100% should happen.
Yeah, I'll see if I can fit that into a set in the future. Let's see. We talked about the Klingons. We talked about that. There's the new wormhole mission, preliminary incursion. So that plays at the same side as Barzan wormhole. So you can play the Barzan wormhole and not have an easily stealable mission. So that's nice. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it sure is.
All right.
And it's a 30-point mission, so you can use it with that Homefront card or that Homestead card.
All right. Enough said. I'm looking forward to seeing folks play with these cards again, because I was on the team to put these together. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that is definitely a thing.
That is definitely a thing.
I'm sure it'll surge back. I mean, I'm like, if nothing else, so many people grew up is the wrong word or phrase, but cut their teeth in the game playing those affiliations. They were a real powerhouse. So if even if they were, I mean, that was part of why everybody played Delta at the same time, because if you didn't, you were left in the dust. That was the meta.
Yeah.
So I'm sure people develop favorites over the course of using those, and so it'll be fun to revisit them for them. For that.
For that.
All
right.
Go back to holding myself up in the mirror quadrant.
Perfect. All right. So meanwhile, in the warehouse, got my last shipment of these in, the Masters cards. So I've got 2 more kits to send out, both overseas to London and where's the other one going? Austria, I believe. So the last of the 2018 Masters kits are going out for events coming up at the end of this month and the start of the next month. We've got all the kits that we have available back up in the promenade for requisition. However, last I checked, there was something going on where if you checked out, you got charged, and it was not listed as checked out. So,
oh no!
I think Chris is on the case. So we'll figure that out and make sure that everyone's getting the kits that they ordered. We've got all the last season's promos for 1E and 2E. We have a special set of 1E League promos. We went back and remade set A, which was like had Voyager and I think the Whales and DS9.
Oh yeah!
So that original set is available as a League kit. So get all 9. So that's awesome. In a couple of weeks, we're going to have another card party here, and we're going to put together the next promo series, which should go up at the beginning of the year. Promo series, I think we're up to like N and I don't know, 28 or something ridiculously high. A big number for 2E and 1E. So those look great. I've got another stock of promos that I don't know that we might just use them as a league promo. I don't know what we're going to do with them. And I have seen the future of next year's high level play promos.
Oh,
fantastic! If you look back in history and follow the trend, you know what's coming, and they look amazing. And so I'm thinking about hosting a Masters in the springtime. We've had some people say, you know, I'd like to come to San Diego in the spring. What can you do for my spring break? I think the last weekend of March, I think, is what we're tentative planning on. I'm waiting for some feedback from JD, who's going to help run the 2 event. Johnny's on board. We've got Silverton out there, and he's volunteered to make the 2.0 starters. So I think we're going to have a good time. 1E, and we'll just have a regular old construction 2E tournament and some triples. Should be a good time. More details to come, I'm sure, but we're going to try to put in a bid for something down here in San Diego next year.
Fantastic.
Yeah, should be fun.
Speaking of JD and helping run events, he actually ran a 2E tournament just this past weekend. Just squeaked in with 4 people, which was good, but they played 2E constructed, and Johnny, he played Dominion. Give me 2E Dominion. Give me his deck title.
Johnny's Big Fat Dominion deck.
That's correct.
Did it have a date? 2018?
November 18.
November 18.
Big Fat Dominion deck, November 2018.
Fantastic.
But yeah, it looks, tacking into the win, friction. I see a lot of apostrophes, so it looks like mostly Jemadar. But he came in and defeated Johnny and Matt, JD and Matt and Amelia, who helped round out the 4.
I was gonna say, who?
And she beat Matt.
Got a modified win in the last round.
That's right.
Awesome. All right.
Good for him.
Let's see. If she follows her father's footsteps, exactly 1 year from yesterday, she will be the tournament champion.
That's right.
Because
it is just the beginning.
Yes. He came back the next year and whooped us all. So, all right. Very good. Congratulations to Amelia for her first tournament and Johnny for winning. Awesome. Right on.
So there's one last thing I noticed while I was looking at the homepage, and it caught my eye, which was a KCA icon on the homepage.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other thing. That's cool.
Oh,
go ahead.
But it was not a 1E. It had a little 2i dot in the corner. So that is interesting, because traditionally 2E has just had, here's a yellow icon. This is from a alternate.
Yeah, right. Instead of having factions.
And that's it. So there's not really any factions. So the fact that has that icon in 2E is very interesting. And we have a transmission of a spoiler from that upcoming set, which is very disappointing to me because it does not relate to the KCA at all. But it's still pretty cool. Is that the other thing you were talking about?
No, but let's go ahead with that.
Lots of other things.
So let's talk about that, and then remind me that there was something else on the front page that I thought you were talking about, because
all right,
it's also right up your alley.
We'll have to keep going back to that. All right, so this is a Klingon personnel with a past icon, not an alternate icon. His name is Claw, Dauntless Hunter, which, if you're familiar, Captain Claw is the commander of the bird of prey that hunts down the Enterprise A in Star Trek V. He costs 3, is a Klingon. He has a big command star And I mentioned his past icon already, of course, because he's from the TOS movie era.
Yeah, I'm working to get this image up. Go, keep going.
Yeah. All right. He has 4 skill dots: astrometrics, leadership, officer, and of course 2 treachery, because he does, I believe, disobey orders to go hunting after the Enterprise. He is the commander of the IKS Chonte. And a mechanic that I always was fond of for the Klingons, going back to maneuvers. When you play this personnel, if you command a maneuver event, score 5 points.
5 easy points for playing a maneuver event. That's not bad.
Yeah. It's actually for already having a maneuver event when you play him. So yeah, have that out already. Play this guy, gets 5 points. Where Kirk goes, we follow.
Strength of 8. That's pretty good. That slots in a lot of Klingon decks.
Yeah, another strength 8 Klingon. That's another option. So you don't get all your 8s filtered out. Can be pretty strong. 4 and 5 for the integrity and cunning, which is not great, but you usually don't care. That's what Warriors Birthright is for.
And it looks like this is card number 28, tentatively.
Agreed.
Neat. All right. Well, that's not a Klingon Cardassian Alliance person.
Not at all, but still interesting, fun Klingon stuff. And the way 2E works, you can probably play them together anyway. Unclear.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how that comes out. What exactly the KCA is going to mean for 2E. Okay, now I am staring at this homepage.
All right.
And I've refreshed it a couple of times, trying to figure out what it is you think is.
All right, I put it up on my screen. There is looks like a set icon that is, well, based on the quote, I think that's Dax's.
Oh my!
Yeah.
I have not seen that. I could not get that. That one has not popped up in my refreshing.
And
that's interesting.
The quote.
But that's disgusting.
Yes. It's got a 1E icon on the top left, and it says December 2018, which we are weeks away.
Coming up. That feels Daxy.
That's what I figured.
And we are in an anniversary mode right now. It's Deep Space Nine anniversary this year. So we got one last month to celebrate. That seems like a good thing. Maybe we'll get something. That certainly seems, man, to have a whole quote be about Dax. I have some ideas.
There was
that could be cool.
Charlie posted something that says, so there's a Will of the Collective question on the board, and Charlie posted that they will be releasing in December Equilibrium, a Trill-themed boutique. All right, well, we'll find out. Could be fun. All right, that's it. That's all I got. We talked about spring. We talked about the warehouse. We talked about the 1E set that you hate, and I think that's everything on my list.
I only hate one card that's not in that set. So I would say I have a very trepidatious feelings about this set. We'll at least see it in play before I hate it, but I do not like that errata. We'll see if it's enough.
10-seated. What's the computer crash? Just first 10 turns. Download something. No, just cancel it. just cancel that.
No.
I've got 10 of them. No.
Wow. Some decks that's almost better than playing a dilemma.
Keeping you from downloading somebody? That'd be or anything. That'd be pretty amazing.
Because it's a whole turn.
Yeah. All right. Very good.
I am that jerk.
Yes. So we will probably not have a show next Monday since we'll be both we'll be recuperating from a long holiday weekend. We'll see about doing one on the 3rd, which should be the weekend before our card party. we'll have some tribbles to talk about because we're going to play tribbles when we make cards.
Yeah.
Anything else? I think there was a tournament that weekend scheduled as well, right? Then maybe the 9th. Am I making that up?
I think it's on the 9th. Yes,
Okay.
that sounds right. Should be 3 weeks,
We'll
or maybe
preview
it's
both
the
things.
following. Yeah, we'll talk about it then. That sounds good. All right. Well, that's all the intelligence we have for this week. I want to thank our surreptitious agents for giving us a spoiler that we haven't had in a while. It's a lot of fun. And Dan, who has a spoiler right behind him, probably a copy of that card, maybe.
Have to wear the badge.
Oh yeah, it's I sit in here fiddling with it and I forgot to. Did you hear that they might be spinning her off?
Yes, I did.
Oh my
I thought that'd
god,
be awesome.
I can't even I think my brain will break. I'm trying not to get my hopes up. Anyway, that's all the intelligence we have for this week. I am Sir Rogue.
And I'm Sir Dan.
And I'll remind you all to expand your power in the universe.
I'll draw